Dr. King. Thank you for joining. Can you give us a sense of you went to two Olympics, so what was your experience like? What was the difference between the two as you arrived in the two different locations?
Yeah, well, I'll say the one thing that was in common was the exhaustion from travel. I think in both instances, usually you arrive late into the villages, so tends to be a little bit of a haze that first arrival. But I can recall, Beijing 2008, that was my first Olympics. So really, I just had no expectations. Of course, at that point, I'd been to the Pan American Games and Commonwealth Games. So, I knew what village life would be like, but not to this, whole new extraordinary level. And, it was really impressive. The Beijing village, it just had everything, all new construction. They had art throughout the village. Of course, the cafeteria was amazing. Accommodations were great. And I think when I reflect on London, there is kind of a similar pattern as I think that they do in the villages in the sense of like how the accommodations are set up. So the two weren't too far off in the sense of, you have food throughout, activities, computer rooms. I recall in London was pretty cool because they had like food stations everywhere, games room, and also all sorts of medical needs, like if you needed to get new glasses or MRIs or massages. It was just kind of just like a complete package for anything that an athlete or just any person would want to spend the next 3 weeks. So yeah, village was really impressive in both respects.
How did the Olympics, both of them for you, define you as a person?
How does it define me? I don't know how it I don't know how it truly defines me in a sense, but I do know that it's something that is just I appreciate it's a huge part of me, especially when you move on and you retire from your sport and go on to whatever. Having the Olympic Games and that experience is something that is imprinted in my life. I have the tattoos, and it's just a great reminder of all the accomplishments and the hard work that during this period in your life you really put in and invested in so much. And for me, that's an important reminder because you kind of get caught up in what's going on in current events or what you're now dealing with in your life, and reflecting on that time really is empowering to me because I remind myself what I was capable of. And it to me, it really is a motivator to excel in other areas or continue to try hard and excel. Because, if I can think of, I was 18 years old and I was training nonstop, 7 days a week, while balancing schoolwork and later on doing a master's and working. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish I had that energy back. But it like I look at that because I get inspired by my past self. And I think that's what the Olympics does for me when I think about how it defined me. It continues to help me grow as a person. And that I'm grateful for.
For the two games, what stands out as a lasting memory for you?
Um, I think the opening ceremony is always. I might even say London a little bit more just because I just remember it more. So it must be the lasting memory. But, that whole build up to walking in London, we had to walk to the stadium. And although it was walking distance, it was quite a far distance. I don't remember what it was, but at least a mile or so. Um, and you walk through the village and then everyone is kind of grouped together, and luckily for us we were right next to like the USA team, so I got to see a bunch of the NBA players. And that, to me, I got to take a picture of Kobe, which to this day, obviously given what has happened, is probably the most memorable photo I'll ever have taken of someone. So that in itself is like a gem that I'll hold on to. but it's more like the opening ceremony was like a progression into the stadium. So you're seeing all these different countries, you're exchanging pins, even though a little bit exhausted from waiting and walking. But the moment you walk out there and they say Bermuda, it was just a sense of joy that, like, I think everyone's smile was just falling off their face because the excitement in the crowd, it truly is like the biggest high you could have. And I think that moment, even though it felt kind of short because it's like it happened and then it was over, but I will always remember that and how I felt.
All right. Well, I want to thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. And we look forward to speaking with you again rather soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.